You can just imagine Bryan Singer feeling like Apocalypse going into the latest X-Men movie. Everything Bryan Singer had built had fallen, and from the ashes of his timeline, he was going to build a better one. And then he made this. Yeah, it's bad. I'm Alex from Whatculture.com, and here are 3 ups and 7 downs from X-Men Apocalypse. The absolute highlight of X-Men Days of Future Past was Quicksilver's slow motion scene in the kitchen. In fact, I'm going to rewatch it now. Wow, just awesome. The scene was so successful and popular that it's got a reprise in X-Men Apocalypse, just on a much bigger scale. This time, the entire X-Mansion is Peter's playground. He's saving students and moving dogs with pizza, and it's great. It comes a bit out of nowhere in the story, so it doesn't quite top the Pentagon one, but it's great to see Quicksilver doing his thing, and for a brief moment, the movie is genuinely fun. Whether it's Star Wars or Batman v Superman, every modern blockbuster feels like it's really trying to be funny now, and X-Men Apocalypse is no different. And quite a lot of the jokes actually work. It's all a little Marvel, with someone popping up in the middle of a serious scene just to lighten the mood a little, and like a lot of the Marvel movies, it can be a bit hit and miss in how it works, but when it works, it's pretty good. There's a great bit with Cyclops in a tree, and Nightcrawler is always reliable for a laugh. Good on you, Kurt. Above all, the thing I liked most about the movie was its campy tone. We're talking about a movie where a bunch of teenagers who shoot various coloured beams out of themselves are taking on a near god who's 10,000 years old. It's not going to be grounded and serious. At its best, the film remembers this. The opening is grade A genre movie, and when it remembers it's set in the 80s, like an Angel's Transformation, it's just great, campy, kitschy fun. Unfortunately, while this gives X-Men Apocalypse at points a really unique comic booky tone that makes it stand out from the others, it doesn't stick to it. Especially in the final sequence, it begins to get overly serious and faux epic, and the whole thing begins to crumble down. Speaking of things crumbling down, remember this? Or this? And this? Or this? Well, Bryan Singer doesn't. Apocalypse's grand scheme causes more destruction and death than Batman, Superman, and all of the Avengers could ever dream of doing. Sydney? Gone! New York? Gone! Cara, you better bet it's gone. It's 2016, you cannot have this much destruction and just label it collateral damage. Get with the times. The movie already feels like it was made in 2006, but this is particularly egregious. He looks like Ivan Ooze. His voice sounds funny. Isn't he just evil for evil's sake? Yes, all of the criticisms of Apocalypse from before the movie came out are true, but it's so much worse than we expected. He's such a disappointing villain. His origin is weird, his resurrection bizarre, and his plan is so one-note and full of holes it's like Wolverine in a waterbed. You actually forget it's one of the greatest modern actors underneath all that makeup. Love you, Oscar. His horsemen aren't up to much either. They just stand around the entire movie looking serious or overly mopey. X-Men Apocalypse's screenplay is terrible. It's all forced exposition and random trailer lines that do nothing to hide that the overall plot is bad guy wants to destroy the world, good guys are going to try and stop him. That's it, there's literally nothing else. Any other subplot is just absolutely crushed by how big the ensemble is that you forget it's even there. It doesn't even follow a proper 3-act structure. You spend an hour getting introduced to everyone and then just boom, big action set piece, that's it. There's also so many flashbacks to footage from First Class because the movie can't be bothered to build relationships organically with its characters and instead just leans on what it's done before. And that brings us to a much bigger problem. A character arc is where a character starts at point A and then at the end of the movie develops to point B. X-Men Apocalypse understands this, but misses that there's meant to be something in the middle. Pretty much every character has a goal set out for them at the start and then gets it at the end. They don't do anything to earn it, it's not brought up during the story, it just happens. During the finale, there's so many payoffs of things from that first act that haven't been brought up at all in the preceding hour. The only one who gets close to proper development is Magneto, and that's only because Fassbender's such a good actor he can make up for the screenplay. Although, don't get me started on Magneto, because I'm doing some serious spoiler restraint here, they f*** up Magneto. So yeah, the script's terrible and the characters are boring, but at least we've got some great actors. McAvoy, Fassbender, Isaac, the kid off EastEnders. Unfortunately, there's one who doesn't quite live up to the rest. Sophie Turner as Jean Grey. She's always been a bit breathless in Game of Thrones, but that kind of works when you've got a character as unlucky as Sansa Stark. For Jean Grey, it doesn't. She talks with this weird, generic American accent, and everything is so pained, whether she's flirting with a future husband or dreaming of impending doom. I am no longer excited for the Dark Phoenix saga. That's a real shame. No matter what Hollywood keeps telling you, CGI is not photorealistic yet. And that doesn't matter. Throughout cinema, effects have been effects, they're illusions. King Kong doesn't look like an ape. And did anybody really believe that a man could fly? No, of course not. But can you at least try? I know Civil War had a few flubs in the green screen in its airport scene, but nothing in X-Men Apocalypse looks remotely believable, not a single shot. Fake as F for fake. You've already made the action so hard to get into with all this lazy characterization and poor setup. Don't take away all of the adrenaline that's left by making it look so unreal. Remember Days of Future Past? That was great! And what was so good about it is that Bryan Singer managed to wipe away all the movies he wasn't involved in, the ones, and destroy all of the plot holes that had plagued the X-Men series. What does he do with Apocalypse? He makes another one and introduces a bunch of plot holes. He created the X-Men series and doesn't seem to actually understand what the X-Men series is. So many hanging threads from Days of Future Past are just dropped. The Wolverine sequence is shoehorned in for no reason, just to remake Origins. And for the third movie in a row, we're talking about forming the X-Men. Get together already! X-Men Apocalypse could have been amazing. It's got a world-class cast, it's got an excellent director, and the series has been running long enough now that it has the ability to be a unique presence in the very saturated superhero landscape. Instead, Bryan Singer took a bunch of ideas and, because he's probably not going to come back to this due to prior commitments, just threw them at the wall and see what stuck. Very little of it did. Its only real success is setting the franchise back about 10 years. It's a bad movie, yes, but above all, it's a big disappointment. So that was X-Men Apocalypse. What did you think? Let us know down in the comments. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and you can follow me on Twitter here.